When people talk about access to justice, it's quite a vague, intangible term. And it really only came home to me when we were in Orange Farm, which is a township about 50 k's outside of Johannesburg. And we realized that for this entire community, there is no court. They have to travel all the way to Sebokeng, which is about 40 kilometers away, in order to even appear in court. And this is on a very basic level restricts your ability to feel connected to the justice system. And this is where we feel the Citizen Justice Network can be instrumental, because this is bringing a form of justice education and a participation with justice rights and prisoners' rights in a way that people don't have at the moment. The main aim of the project is to train paralegals in community advice offices to be journalists in order to produce their own radio stories. And from there, they'll broadcast them on their local radio station. We'll see a network of radio stations producing this type of content. From there, we'll be able to see these patterns of injustice. And then we'll be able to use that information for our ongoing advocacy at Justice Project. And then these stories of injustice that would never have been told, or perhaps only been told at a community level, will expand across the country and possibly into mainstream media, while still retaining the insights and the authenticity of being a community story. The important thing is we want to get away from the idea of a journalist in Johannesburg swooping in and covering a different community story, which we see so often in South Africa. We want the story to come from the community and then be picked up by mainstream media, not the other way around. This project is going to be a joint effort between the Wits Justice Project and the Wits Radio Academy. The Radio Academy is an industry leader in community radio training across Africa. We're a part of Wits Justice Project, which runs from Wits University, which is a team of journalists who report on miscarriages of justice, so prisoners' rights, wrongful convictions. And we started working in community radio several years ago. We started by helping stations produce justice-based content because we saw this huge need for this type of content. Down in Orange Farm, which is about 50 kilometers outside of Johannesburg, we partnered with a community advice office. So this is an office of paralegals who are giving legal advice to people of the community. And we partnered with a local community radio station called Teto FM. And this partnership, us with the radio station and the advice office, proved to be very powerful. We were able to find out what issues were affecting a community and then have a way to broadcast and work with the radio station to get the message out there. And we've taken that model and we've expanded it. We're going across the country into 5 community advice offices, partnered with 5 neighboring radio stations. And this is going to allow us to see patterns of injustice around the country. So we're going to be able to spot if people have difficulty with a prison transfer in Limpopo. And then we're also going to be able to see if it's the same problem is affecting people in Gauteng. And we're going to be able to see that pattern. And then we, as Justice Project, based at Wits University, will be able to use that in our ongoing advocacy program. Hopefully, we're going to be able to bridge and create a network of community radio stations that can work together, that can share content and ideas. And we'll have the impact through Wits Justice Project to bring these stories to a mainstream media, as well as publishing them online in podcast form. I feel very passionate about the community advice office system. I would pour huge amounts of money into it if I could. These are paralegals that are based in rural communities, often around the country, and they are, for a lot of people, the only legal advice that they get. They're not trained lawyers. They can't appear in court as a lawyer, but they are experienced, they are often activists, and they are often the line of defense for people in getting their access to justice or not. But they are incredibly overworked, and they do not have enough hours in the day to see all the people that they need to. And that's why we're seeing the Citizen Justice Network as a way to parcel this knowledge that the paralegals have and distribute it on a massive scale. Each story that is produced will be a how-to guide, like how to apply for a J88 form if you suffer an assault, How do you apply for transcripts if you've appeared in court and want to appeal? These are the important day to day justice issues that people need to know about. It's very important to us that these justice issues are addressed at all levels. And we are going to be working with the paralegals to help them do their jobs better. And if this is through technology or advice or training, we're going to be able to really embed ourselves and the know how of Wits journalism into these small, often rural offices. The Citizen Justice Network is going to benefit the paralegals through training, incredible ethics journalism training, ways to use technology that they won't have used before. We're going to equip each paralegal with a tablet and a microphone and ability to edit their own radio stories. And there's also going to be opportunity for them to use this technology in their day-to-day activism. Wits Justice Project had success earlier this year by winning Best Radio Documentary at the MTN Radio Awards for a story that went out on a community radio station. Now, this level of production is not usually done by community radio, but it was a story that inspired listeners who heard it. And the Citizen Justice Network is not only going to service the community, but it's also going to give a higher standard of journalism to people that are already listening to the radio.